Hi guys, my name is Tian, and you are watching Waypoint Cribs. Allow me to show you my crib today. I'm really excited. We're going to have a look around my tent. And you guys ready? Let's go have a look. Waypoint Cribs! This is it. Just remember, Dad is also sleeping. As you can see, this place has everything you need for the true camping experience. So let me take you to the first room. The sick bay. First aid kit. Not for you, of course, you don't get hurt. But for people around you that may need this, and you can be the hero of the day. Secondly, your own walk-in closet. A clean pair of underpants. Because that's all you need, really, to go camping. You do have clothes on your back. What more do you need? Of course, very important, toothbrush and toothpaste. You're not a wild animal, so don't act like one. Then, one of my favorite rooms in this camping tent, the bedroom. Spacious, comfy, and yes, I'm getting too comfortable right now. Alright, let's go to room number 3. You guys are going to love this one. This is the tech room for all your gadgetary needs. As you can see, we have 3 streaming devices here, not just for streaming Waypoint, not just for streaming YouTube and Netflix, but also for Waypoint Sunday morning experience. For the comfort of home, away from home. My tagline, can't forget that. And then, as you'll see, I have a creepy lantern. It's for that scary old man vibe if you want to scare off the young kids from your tent. And then lastly, no camping crib is complete without its very own music room. Waypoint Cribs!
Good morning, Waypoint. It's good to see you all and a very, very warm welcome to each of us. I think we all need a warm welcome, so I'm extending one to you. And as you see now, something very exciting coming up. It's our Waypoint Community Camp. You do not want to miss this. Some information there, but there's some information coming through during the course of the week, so keep an eye out on it, on the app. You all need the app, you know that. So yeah, welcome to everyone watching online. And then, of course, if you are new here, a special warm welcome to you. We are so thrilled to have you with us. If you have any questions, there is a lovely team of staff and friendly faces that can discuss with you and answer any questions you may have after the service. So if you just go to the entrance on your right-hand side, this is my right-hand side, right, Wim? Yeah, right-hand side. You will see some friendly faces that can answer any questions that you may have about our church, about our community. We would love to connect with you. Just on that note, we have, unfortunately, the TV in the mother's room is not working at the moment, so just want to bring that under your attention, but we are working on that. Okay, and then we're going to be together. Well, before we actually get to that, on that note of new people, we just want to share our mission. It's quite a simple mission, but it's such an important mission. Is that we want to inspire people to follow Jesus. Because following Jesus makes your life better. And following Jesus makes you better at life. And that is a very good invitation. Okay, so today we're going to be together for 1 hour. And Dirk is going to bring the message. It's week 3 of winning the war in your mind. If you've been with us the previous 2 weeks, you'll know this is a life-changing series, and we're so glad that you're going to be with us today because there's more truth bombs going to be dropped on us by Dirk today, and we're so excited for that. So before we get on with the rest of the service, please don't forget Forgiveness Conference coming up this weekend. We are super excited about this. And as you're sitting there and you haven't signed up and you're thinking, sure, I don't really have someone to forgive, I don't have something that I can think of now, there is always that little something and something that you may not even be aware of. So please come and don't let that little thing stand in your way on your faith journey. Come and have your life changed with us this weekend for the, forgiveness conference. Okay, and then another exciting event coming up. Your Waypoint community is bringing the events, guys. So important to have that app so you can follow that calendar, because if you're so frustrated as me, you need that thing to tell you what's coming up every weekend. And we have another event, Monday the 29th of August. We've got Dr. Richard Blackerby talking about leading in uncertain times. So it's for leaders, but as you all know, we are all leaders in some way or another in our lives. So please put that on your calendar as well, and come and join all these wonderful events with us. But for now, we're going to invite you to stand, greet someone, say hello, get ready while I hand over to John to lead us in 3 songs.
Good morning, everyone. You can stand. If you haven't seen Simon and Elna, just say, Goeiemorgen, Simon and Elna. Welcome back. They had a lekker holiday. Good, guys. We're going to sing 3 songs, okay?
Why so heavy on my soul? Did you forget who's in control? If he calls the wind and waves to still, he holds you now and always will. The battle is the Lord's. Take courage in the fight. The weapons of the sword, our praise is lifted high. My confidence is sure. My God has gone before. I'll sing into the night. The battle is the Lord. Come be still, oh anxious heart. Find rest here in the Father's arms. In His presence there is perfect peace. In His power there is victory. Yeah. The battle is the Lord's. Take courage in the fight. The weapons of the sword, our praise is lifted high. My confidence is sure. My God has gone before. Now sing into the night. The battle is the Lord. Here now, your presence here now. We are set free now. Hands lifted high in worship. Here now, fear has to leave now. Your kingdom's here now. Yours is the power and glory. Here now, your presence here now. We are set free now. Hands lifted high in worship. Here now, fear has to leave now. Your kingdom's here now. Yours is the power and the glory. God in the overflow of mercy that won't let go.
Here on this holy ground, standing before you now, Jesus, you are more than enough. If there's one thing I know, it's how you love me so. Jesus, you are more than enough for me.
Finally, my eyes can see you've never abandoned me. I'm held by the kindness of a Father who won't give up. A Father who won't give up.
Here on this holy ground, standing before you now, Jesus, you are more than enough. If there's one thing I know, it's how you love me so. Jesus, you are more than enough. Forever strong, forever faithful. All my life, you are enough for me. In every storm, in every battle, all my life, you are enough for me. Forever strong, forever faithful, all my life, you are enough for me. In every storm, in every battle, all my life, you are enough for me. Here on this holy ground, standing before you now, Jesus, you are more than enough. If there's one thing I know, it's how you love me so. Jesus, you are more than enough. Here on this holy ground, standing before you now, Jesus, you are more than enough. If there's one thing I know, it's how you love me so. Jesus, you are more than enough for me. Oh, more than enough. You're more than enough. Here on this holy ground, standing before you now, Jesus, you are more than enough. If there's one thing I know, it's how you love me so. Jesus, you are more than enough for me. with every breath, with every word I speak, with every step, with every heartbeat. Jesus, let it be for you only, my whole life, all for your glory. My life is in your hands, I trust it all to you. My dreams and all my plans, I trust it all. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of you, Jesus. Oh, because of you, Jesus. Oh, for all my days, God, you are my guide. I give you all, my heart is open wide. Sing with everything. 'Cause you are everything, you are all I need. I am forever in love with you, forever in love with you. You are everything, you are all I need. I am forever in love with you, forever in love with you. You are everything, you are all I need. Oh, I'm forever in love with you, forever in love with you. You are everything, everything. You are all I need, all I need. I am forever in love with you. Oh, my life is in your hands. I trust it all to you. My dreams and all my plans, I trust it all, I trust it all. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of your love. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of you, Jesus. Whoa. Because of you, Jesus. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Because of you, Jesus. Whoa, whoa. 'Cause you are everything, you are all I need. I am forever in love with you, forever in love with you. You are everything, everything. You are all I need, all I need. I am forever in love with you, forever in love with
Oh, Lord God and Father, thank you that we can stand here and proclaim our love for you, because we can only love because you first loved us. You are our everything and you are all we need. Even if we lose everything, Lord, even if everything around us is in complete shambles, Lord, we can know that you are our rock. Your grace is sufficient for us. Your strength comes through when we are definitely just so weak, Lord. Thank you that we can know that if we focus on everything that's good and we focus on you, Lord, then that is all we need. You are more than enough. So Lord, help us to take all those thoughts, all those lies that tell us anything different, to take them captive and to give them to you, Lord, because you are King of our lives, of our hearts, but also of our minds. We come here and proclaim your kingship, your authority over our lives, Lord. Thank you that we can do that in your name while praising you and also knowing that this King of the universe wants a relationship with me and wants to walk a road with me in intimacy. You are good and you are God, and we praise your name forever. Amen.
Hi, my name is Shani. I'm a small business owner in the environmental sphere, and I'm a plant mom. I've been pursuing a intimate and personal relationship with the Lord for the past 7 years. And during this time, I've really come to know the value of being connected with a faith community, just having that community being able to support you and carry you through the different seasons that you face. So I'm part of a life group, and at the start of this year, my life group leader told me about a new series we will be starting, 70 times 7. She told me that it's all about forgiveness, and I said to her, I actually think that I'm all right. I don't think I have anyone that I need to forgive. I try to deal with that as it comes up. And I said to her, no, I think I'm all right, but I'm keen to see what it's about. I think most people think that they are all right and they don't have to forgive people. But then she asked me, but do you ever feel like you're being tortured by something? And I found that to be quite an odd question, and I didn't really understand it, but I said, no, I don't think so. I didn't feel like that at the time. But in the week thereafter, thinking about this question, I realized that I have so many negative thoughts and I overanalyze situations. I'm an overthinker, and I realized that it's really tiring. And then I thought, sure, that might be something that I'm being tortured with. And so I spoke to her about it, and then I started to apply physically, saying I take this thought captive and I'm making it obedient to Christ. Physically saying those words, I started realizing, but this is what I'm doing for the majority of each day. And that shocked me, and through the course of 70 times 7, and just applying what was taught in the series, I started to recognize my thoughts becoming more positive. I had less negative thoughts. I wasn't weighed down by overthinking and by overanalyzing the situations. And one day I just realized that I didn't have any negative thoughts today. No matter what happened during my day, whether it was good or bad, I realized that I didn't have any negative thoughts. I wasn't overanalyzing anything, and I wasn't overthinking anything. And I just realized that for so many years, I don't even know how long, it's been too long. I thought that was my norm, that was my reality, that I was just a critical thinker, just going into more depth about thinking about situations, analyzing them. I thought that was who I was. I thought that was my reality. And I just realized how big a grip the enemy had on my thoughts, on my mind. And I just realized how great the power of forgiveness is, and that the Lord has completely set me free from all of this negativity that was weighing me down, the negative thoughts, overanalyzing, overthinking. I have never known mental peace like I do now. I have never felt freedom in that regard like I do now. It's such a stark contrast what I'm experiencing now as opposed to what I've been living the past couple of years. I'm just so grateful to the Lord for breaking those chains and for setting me free, for giving me this freedom, for giving me this peace that I have never known. My heart is full. My heart is full of gratitude, and I wish this for everyone. I have so much compassion now for people who struggle with negativity, who struggle with overanalyzing, because I know what it feels like without realizing when you are stuck in it. And I'm so thankful to the Lord that His power extends to the breaking chains of just the enemy's grip on one's mind. I'm so thankful to the Lord.
Good morning and welcome to week 3 of winning the war in your mind. And how applicable is Shani's testimony to what we're talking about this morning? For the past 2 weeks, we've talked about how to win this war in your mind. This morning, we're talking specifically on how to defeat negative thoughts. And if you listen to Shani's testimony, it's just unbelievable how unforgiveness can turn into a thought pattern of, I'm just critical. Isn't that exactly what winning the war in your mind is all about? To help you understand what we're talking about, let me put it to you this way. How strange is it that we can have a really good life and then still find things to complain about? Why? Because it's all about what's happening in my mind and not so much what's really happening in life. I can drive to work in my car and complain about the fact that my leather seats can't heat up before I get into the car, right? I can drive to work begrudging all of the stress, all the anxiety that's waiting for me there at work, forget the fact that I actually do have a job and I have a work. Because it's all about what's happening in our mind. And with this series, we're really delving practically into how to face that, how to change that so that we can become and do what we're supposed to do and become what we're supposed to become. The mind is a battlefield, and that war is won and lost in the mind. The life that you have now is a reflection, not of your life, but of your thoughts. You can't have a happy life when you've got a negative mind. What's in your mind comes out in your life. Let's recap what Paul shared with us in 2 Corinthians, and he says this: for though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power. And we said it's God's dunamis, God's explosive power. They've got the power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. This morning, it's negative thoughts. And we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. That's how we defeat negative thoughts. Not because we're great and we're fantastic, but the war is a war in the mind. The tools God has given us, the weapons, are not weapons of this world, but they've got divine power, God's power.
And we can use that to take captive these negative thoughts that build up in our lives. Why is this so important? Because what we know from science is that thoughts literally create neural pathways in our brain. That's Shani's story. It started with an incident where my thoughts like, let's just second guess everything. Now I'm putting words in a mouth, in a testimony, but to kind of get this thought across. And the more we think that thought, it becomes a pathway. It becomes the default. I don't even have to think about it. I just go there automatically to get to that point of, I'm just a critical person. And then something has to happen to reveal the truth. So what we're talking about this morning is identifying these neural pathways that we've come to default to, that take control over our lives, as if it's normal. And then, to help you, is we're going to talk about a word that's called cognitive bias. I'm going to explain to you now in a second what that means. When you do communication psychology, they say there are 4 things that make it difficult for people to communicate properly. The 2 that are relevant for our topic this morning is mote beam and self-fulfilling prophecy. Mote beam says, instead of shining a light on everything, I shine that light on certain things. And we'll get to the second one later on. So let's talk about cognitive bias. Cognitive bias says this: it's a mistake in reasoning based on personal experiences or preferences. It's a mistake in reasoning based on personal preferences and personal experiences. So it's got nothing to do with the truth, but it's got everything to do with me. Let's make it applicable. What does that mean? If you grew up around abusive men, you will find it hard to trust men when you grow up. If you grew up with parents that say to you, rich people are evil, they are self-centered, they value themselves more than they value other people, that's not somebody that you wish to aspire to. When you start becoming successful, you start having guilt, because now you say, I'm becoming this person that my parents warned me against. Let's put it in another way. Those thought patterns become pre-wired, default ways of thinking. That's cognitive bias. Because does that have anything to do with rich people? No, it's got everything to do with my parents' perception of rich people. And I've made that my own. That's why you can have 2 people experience exactly the same thing and give you 2 complete and opposing outcomes. Let's apply it to this morning. 2 people walk into church, both of them knew. The one person has got the cognitive bias that all church people, all Christians are hypocritical. So they will walk in, they will be welcomed by the amazing greeting staff outside. They will start to get excited, and then the person that greeted them will turn to somebody next to them and talk to them and have a laugh and joke. And that person will walk away and say, they nearly had me for a second. I really thought this person was genuinely excited to see me. But then they had to turn to the person next to them and talk about me and laugh at me behind my back. That's person A's experience of that situation. Person B will say, man, how great are these people? How excited was that person to see me? And you know what's amazing? Is even when they speak to their friends, they still have a good time. Christians are amazing. Can you see how cognitive bias plays out in a situation? Because I start filling gaps, not with the truth, but my preconceived ideas. That's cognitive bias. That's why in a work situation, 2 people will get exactly the same feedback in exactly the same way from their line manager at work. And the one person will say, who do you think you are? I don't need this in my life. Do you know how much I sacrifice for this company? And then you've got the audacity to come and tell me how to do my job? And the other person says, thank you very much. That's really helpful. I can really apply that, and it's going to improve my efficiency at work. Same thing, different outcome because of cognitive bias. That's also why some people said the vaccine is the answer, that's what we need, it's going to solve all our problems. And the other people, the other group said it's evil, there's a chip in there, they know exactly what you're thinking, and that's really the problem. Now, whichever way you're thinking, you're 100% right. I agree with you fully. Because I'm not here to try and orientate you one way or the other. I'm trying to make a point. Depending on who you spoke to, what you've been reading would inform where you sit on that topic. That's cognitive bias. Let's take a look at something that happened in the Old Testament where we find exactly that. The Israelites are supposed to go into Canaan that God has given them. Moses sends out 12 people to try and get a heads up for what it is that they're facing. Yes, we know God has promised us this land, but what is our strategy and what are we facing? They go, they come back. They give two opposing reports. Two of the people say, it's overflowing with milk and honey. You cannot believe what we will find in Canaan. The best of the best and more than enough for everybody. This is the best idea we've ever heard of. We're definitely going to do this. The other 10 said, what a horrible idea. There's no way we can do it. Have you seen those people? They are like giants. In our eyes, we are nothing but locusts. There's no way we can do this and survive it. Let's go back now. Now, how do you have exactly that same situation and two opposing reports? And I also think it's not just and by coincidence that two people said, great idea, faith-filled, let's take that step, and 10 people said, no, I'm pulling the parachute, I'm out. I didn't sign up for this. It's because of these filters that we have. There's a tool that I want to give you to help and assist you within this. That tool is called reframing. Because what I've said from week 1 is that it's not so much what happens to us as it's got to do with what's happening inside of our minds, what we're thinking about the situation. And reframing is a tool that we can use to actually make sure that we do this and get this right. So let's look at reframing. It's creating a different way of looking at a situation or relationship by changing its meaning. A different outcome to a relationship or a situation by changing its meaning. So the best way to explain this to you is to show you this picture. You can't control 9 out of 9 situations you're in. You can't control your situation. But what you can control is how you frame that situation. You can control what it is that you are going to focus on. And you can control where you're going to shift that focus to. You can control how you're going to frame the situation, even though you can't control the situation. Let's think of it this way. You've had this idea of a dream job. You've worked hard for it after school. Now you're doing something that's not really in the line that you were studying in. And you're frustrated and you're doing something that's beneath you. That's one way of framing it. The other way of framing it is, this is setting me up for success. How exactly? I don't know. But I'm given opportunities to help and shift my career and my future to move in the direction that I see it going in. You might have envisioned what your marriage would look like. And right now, it's difficult, it's tough, and you're struggling in it. That's one way of framing it. Another way of framing it is, this is difficult, but God's doing something inside of me, and God is doing something inside of my spouse, so that we can be the ideal people for each other and live the ideal marriage that I envisioned that God had for me. That's taking that situation and reframing it, because if you're not faced with it now, you will be faced with, this is not what I expected. This isn't what I thought it'd be. To use another example from the Bible, another person's experience. That person is Paul. Paul was a preacher of renown. He lived to share the gospel. If Paul had to pick a stage from which he said, this would be this stage where I could impact the most people, have the biggest impact in people's lives, that goal would be Rome. Rome was the center of the civilized world for them. And he knew if he could speak in Rome and change the minds and the hearts of those influential people, he can literally impact the world. And so Paul's dream came true. Paul went to Rome. But he wasn't sent to Rome, and he didn't go to Rome. He was taken to Rome. He became a prisoner, and as a prisoner, he was taken to Rome. Let's read what Paul writes in Philippians 1 verse 12 out of the NWV. Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me have not measured up to my expectations. As a result of the hell that I've been through, I'm quitting life group, the church, and I'm never coming back. If you're like, man, that version is awesome, I want to save that on my YouVersion, you're not going to find it. It doesn't exist. The NWV is the new Winer's version. If I was Paul and I had to write to the Philippians, that's what I would have written. I'm being honest with you, right? I'm not that resilient. But luckily, Paul is, and Paul gives us a tool. Let's read from the NIV, which is what most of us read, and let's see what Paul says. Now, I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it has become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I'm in chains for Christ. He's not just saying that because he's hoping that they would get the idea. Literally, what has happened to Paul, and we're going to stay with this graphic, Paul's reframing it. I would have said, man, this sucks. I'm chained to a guy 24 hours. Every 8 hours, a new guy that I have to talk through how I want to go to the toilet. And how to help me eat, because my other hand is chained to him. That's what I would have said. Paul reframes it. Paul's like, this is unbelievable. A captive audience. Do you know how long my sermons are? 8 hours. After that 8 hours, I get a fresh one. And we're in for another 8 hours. The whole of the palace guard knows I'm in chains, you in chains, because of Christ. Who's the captive here? That's Paul reframing his situation. It goes beyond that. It closes that section off with this verse. And because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel without fear. This suffering that I'm going to is boldening other people. It's giving them courage to share the gospel boldly. So it goes beyond me and it goes to other people. I want to give you 3 points as the first of 3 points as we close. No, it's just 3 points. I want to give you the first point to help you with reframing. The first point with reframing is sometimes we just need to thank God for what didn't happen. Let me share a conversation I had with Genevieve. She comes home, she says, Dad, you know, I said to you we were sleeping over at Kirsten's house. That actually didn't happen. We went out for the night. I met a guy, we hooked up. I know it shouldn't have happened, and I've discovered I'm pregnant. But we don't have to do anything now. He was out on parole, he violated that, so he's back in prison. So it gives us time to find our feet. He gets out in a year, and he said he's kind of thinking of marrying me, which is good, but he'll start working as soon as he goes through rehab. And you know we don't have money, so we're going to have to live with you guys when he comes out. And then she says, none of that is true. I just want to tell you, I've got a D for business studies, but I wanted you to know it could have been a lot worse. So sometimes what we need to do is just start by thanking God for what didn't happen. And even though it's a light-hearted moment, what I don't want you to miss is that a lot of us go through difficult things. And because those things are so difficult and we're struggling and it's so dark, the only place we can start is start to say, thank you for what didn't happen. Because in this situation, there's nothing that I can see that is closely and remotely similar to light. And to start by being thankful for what didn't happen is the start of moving that frame into a different position where my focus can shift and my focus can change. Then, the second tool in terms of framing is pre-framing. And pre-framing is that second part that I started off with in terms of communication psychology, self-fulfilling prophecy. And self-fulfilling prophecy works like this. If Vim tells me, you know this guy Peter that's been coming to church, be careful, that guy's actually an alcoholic. Don't trust everything he says to you. Now, Vim will never say anything like that to me, and that's why I'm using that as an example. So when I engage with Peter, then my mind starts to go, yeah, I can see his eyes are a bit red. And I can see the veins on his nose. I can see what Vim's saying. This guy is an alcoholic. And suddenly I start filtering what Peter's saying to me, whether it's true or whether it's not true, because I had a preconceived idea. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's pre-framing. Now it's used in a positive way. So let me help you with that. I've got a meeting with Lofty, and we're discussing some design ideas for a project. Now, this is completely hypothetical because I would never do anything like that with Lofty, but he does that for a living. And I go into that meeting and I'm like, I'm not looking forward to this meeting, man. This guy's so focused on detail. I don't want to be bogged down in details. I don't even know if we're going to come to an outcome that's workable out of this meeting. So I go into the meeting and guess what? Halfway through, a quarter in, I switch off. And there's no positive outcome for that meeting. We don't get the next steps that we need in order to move the project forward. But that meeting could have started with me saying, this is going to be a great meeting. I love the attention to detail that Lofty brings to the project. That's what I need because that's my weak point. I'm so psyched about this team that's collaborating on this. I know we will find next steps coming out of this meeting. So I stick it out in the conversation, and I'm present in the conversation, and we collaborate, and we contribute, and we come to next steps out of the meeting. That's pre-framing. Because our mind works that way. It looks for the things to confirm what we're thinking. And right now, some of you are sitting there with things that you know, going into a conversation with that person. I'm pre-framing that conversation in this way. And then guess what? That's exactly the outcome. So whose fault is it? A situation every day, getting up in the morning, first thing, what is this day going to be like? That's that practice, the pre-framing, not free framing, it's something completely different. Practicing pre-framing what that should be. The third point that I want to close off with is look for God's goodness. Look for God's goodness. So I start off by thanking God for what didn't happen. I practice pre-framing because it's proactive. It's not reactive. I'm not just left at the mercy of circumstances. I can influence circumstances. And then I look for God's goodness. Let me explain it to you this way. It's the difference between the vulture and the hummingbird. A vulture gets up in the morning and all that he looks for is dead things, decaying things, roadkill. That's what a vulture looks for as soon as he opens up his eyes, and that's what a vulture finds. On that same day, a hummingbird opens its eyes and it looks for sweet things. It looks for nectar. And that's exactly what a hummingbird finds on a day-to-day basis. And right now where a lot of us are is we're finding it difficult to see God's goodness in our situation. But depending on what filter it is that we look through, and depending on how we frame these situations and these circumstances that we're in, we can either have the vulture mentality or we can have the hummingbird mentality. And what we look for is exactly what we'll find. So if we go back to our graphic, I can get up in the morning and I can say, man, what a miserable day. I don't see anything good coming from this. Got such a lot of challenges. There's such a lot on my plate. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. Or you can start that same day off with, what a day filled with potential. This is going to be an amazing day. God has given me talents. He's given me insights. He's with me in this day. I know He'll give me the energy that I'll need to get through this, and I know I can use this in moving forward in life. Exactly the same situation, just framing it differently, looking for something different. And here's the amazing thing. This is why we're so passionate about people stepping into a relationship with Jesus. Because if you're not a believer this morning, this message makes perfect sense. And you can go and apply it. 90% of it. And what I'm saying with 90% is 100% up to here. But there's a 10% that's going to be difficult for you. Because all you have up to now is how you reframe it. But what's available in a relationship with Jesus is have Him speak into your life. Have Him frame what's happening for you. Have Him speak life into your life. When you're at the point where there's nothing good I can say about my life. Spend time with Him and have Him say, what do I see in your life? How do I feel about you? And it's available and accessible to everybody that steps into a relationship with Him. You don't need a special title. You don't need to go on a course to do it. You just need to make time and sit and listen to Him and say, God, you know what? I don't know anymore. So you tell me. That's the amazing thing of being in a relationship with Jesus and what God is calling us into. He doesn't want something from us. He wants something for us. If Jesus wasn't that excited about you, He never would have laid down His life for you. But because He loved you that much, He was willing to do it. Because God the Father loved you that much, He was willing to have His Son sacrifice His life for you. And if God and Jesus went through all that, do you honestly think that He'll leave you now? God's with you in the midst of that thing that you're going through. is never far, and especially not now. Sometimes we're just framing the picture wrong. But He's there, and He's waiting, and He's waiting because He's patient. Let's pray. Father, thank you for a message through Paul that suffered in a way that we can't even imagine to suffer. And Father, frame that situation to say, this isn't what I would have chosen, but God, you can use this. And Father, I pray that for everyone that's here this morning and watching online that are going through a difficult time, that they would be aware of your presence, know that you are there with them, and Father, that you would gently help them to move that frame, to see something different of their situation. And Father, thank you that we can trust in you and know that you are there for us, because you are 100% fully for us. And you love us immensely more than we can ever imagine. We thank you for it. Amen. As next steps, like Jax has shared, coming out of this series, we're closing off next week. If you know of anybody that's overwhelmed by anxiety, if they had to describe their life in one word, and it would be anxiety, next week is for them. As we looked at negative thoughts this week, next week we're going to look at anxiety. Make sure to invite them to next week. In helping you transition through this message, we've got the Forgiveness Conference. If you're sitting there and you're trying to get out of it and you say, no, I've got this under control, I'll deal with it. When it comes up, I deal with it. That's exactly why you need to go to the Forgiveness Conference, because that's not how you deal with things when they come up. You deal with things before they come up. So come and experience the freedom like Shani did. That's on the other side of this uncomfortable process. I'm not going to kid you. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to drain you physically and emotionally, but the rewards on the other side of it. So sign up for the Forgiveness Conference. And then as a next step from there is Richard Blackaby. Richard Blackaby is the son of Henry Blackaby, and together with his father, they wrote Experiencing God, which a lot of us has gone through and read through. What I love about Richard's work is you're going to bring your notebook and pen with, but he's not going to share theory. The theory will be there, but it's from his perspective of living life and living in a relationship with Jesus and saying, this is what I've discovered. And this is what it potentially could mean for you. So it's something that's going to help you take the next step in your life and in your relationship with Jesus. So two events that link in perfectly with each other to help you grow in your relationship with God and help you just be better at life. So don't miss these two opportunities that are there for you. Giving will be at the door. Part of how we're able to do something like a Forgiveness Conference is by you guys giving. So we thank you for that, and we encourage you to give, but in saying that, it's only for the people that have prepared for it. So there's no expectation that you need to give. So giving will be at the door. The coffee shop is open. Make sure to grab a coffee with somebody that looks freezing, warm them up, and have a nice warm conversation. So that's at the coffee shop outside there. And lastly, remember, have a great week.
And all I see is the battle. You see my vision. trust me. For Jesus, there's nothing impossible for you. When I see all the ashes, you see the beauty. When all I see is the cross, God, you see the empty tomb. When I fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, well God belongs to you. Every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, well God belongs to you. Almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. Almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. Almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power. So when I fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And every fear I lay at your feet. I will sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Let's lift up a shout of praise today. Give him all the glory.